Hello friends, the story I am about to tell you is the kind of story you are not ready to listen to. As the story progresses, you will lose the reality to decide who is the villain and who is the real hero in this story. It is the story of a girl named Gangju, whose life takes such a devastating turn that escaping from it would seem almost impossible for anyone. The story begins with Gangju in her school, telling someone how much she loves singing. Music is clearly one of the few things that brings genuine joy into her life. Several teachers are standing nearby, and for reasons that are not fully explained at that moment, Gangju is suddenly transferred from this school to another one in a different town. After returning home, she quietly begins packing her belongings. The saddest part is that there is no one there to help her. She gathers her things alone, folding clothes and arranging them carefully. Eventually, she travels to a new town and arrives at her new school. There she meets the teacher, who happens to be a friend of the principal from her previous school. The teacher gives her a phone and firmly tells her that she must not answer any calls from her father. He explains that until she finds a permanent place to live, she can stay at his house with his mother, who lives alone. Trying to comfort her, the teacher reassures Gangju that she has done nothing wrong and that the court is already handling the situation. The authorities are even trying to prevent the media from discovering the truth. Later, he speaks with his mother about letting Gangju stay with them. At first, the woman refuses, suspicious that Gangju might be a troublesome girl. However, after some persuasion, she finally agrees, although only allowing Gangju to stay for 1 week. One day, while passing by the living room, Gangju accidentally overhears a conversation between the teacher and his mother. The teacher is asking whether she really plans to marry someone at this age, especially a man who is already married. His mother calmly replies that yes, she intends to do exactly that, adding that the man is a police officer who has promised to take care of her. Hearing this conversation, Gangju quietly retreats to her room. Once inside, she tries calling her mother on the phone. Her mother lives in the same town, but the situation between them is complicated. Years earlier, Gangju's mother had abandoned both Gangju and her grandfather and moved to this town to start a new life. Hoping to meet her after so many years, Gangju tries to contact her, but the phone number is no longer active. The realization hurts deeply. The next day, Gangju attends her new school. Her teacher introduces her to the entire class, and she sits silently among strangers who know nothing about her past. After school, she fills out a form because she wants to learn how to swim. While speaking with the woman at the registration desk, Gangju nervously asks whether someone with wounds on their body is still allowed to swim. The woman explains that she would need to see a doctor first. This suggestion makes Gangju visibly anxious, and she quickly asks whether the doctor is a man. The woman reassures her that there are female doctors available there. Unfortunately, that turns out to be a lie. When the examination takes place, Gangju is seen by a male doctor. He checks her body, including her private areas, which makes her extremely uncomfortable and frightened. Her unease is clear, but she silently endures the examination. Later, she visits a cyber cafe because she wants to find her mother's address online. However, a group of boys nearby are playing games and shouting loudly while talking to each other. For reasons that are not entirely clear, the noise terrifies Gangju, and she suddenly runs out of the cafe in panic. Eventually, she returns to the house where she is staying and rings the doorbell, but no one answers. After waiting for a while, she walks to the nearby store owned by the teacher's mother. Seeing that the shop is crowded with customers, she begins helping them without being asked. The woman notices her effort, feeds her dinner, and explains that Gangju's father is paying money for her stay and meals, so she is allowed to remain there. Still, she cannot resist asking one more suspicious question. Wondering whether Gangju has done something wrong in the past, Gangju quietly denies it. The following day, Gangju sits in her classroom, but she cannot focus on her studies at all. Her thoughts seem trapped somewhere else. Suddenly, the story shows a glimpse of the past. In the flashback, Gangju is sitting inside a police station. A police officer is telling her that someone has died and urging her to tell the truth. She looks terrified and pleads desperately, begging them to let her go. Then the story moves even further back in time. In another memory, Gangju is working at a store. After the owner leaves early, his son arrives. Gangju asks him what is wrong, but he refuses to answer. Instead, he gathers several drinks and leaves the store. Gangju later notices that he is meeting a group of boys outside. Back in her old town, Gangju had a close friend named Shasha. The two girls were very good friends. Gangju lived with her grandfather, but he was rarely home, so Shasha often suggested visiting Gangju's house to keep her company. One day, Shasha even wanted to bring along a boy named Dong-eun. Gangju hesitated at first because Dong-eun was actually the son of the store owner and secretly liked her. The story then returns to the present. At her new school, Gangju notices a group of girls singing inside the music room. Since singing is something she truly loves, she stops to listen quietly from outside. One of the girls, named Shasha, notices her standing there, and Gangju immediately runs away as if she has been caught doing something wrong. Soon after, Gangju begins her swimming training. For reasons that remain unclear, learning to swim seems extremely important to her after arriving in this town. However, when she sees that the trainer is a man, she becomes hesitant again. Later, when she returns to the store where the teacher's mother works, she finds the shop closed. Curious, she peeks inside and discovers the woman happily dancing with the same police officer she had been talking about earlier. Sometime later, Shasha from the music room sees Gangju again, this time while Gangju is singing alone. Shasha is immediately impressed by the beauty of her voice and secretly records it on her phone. Afterwards, she approaches Gangju, plays back the recording, and praises her talent enthusiastically. Excited by what she has heard, Shasha asks whether Gangju would like to join their music group. Instead of feeling pleased, Gangju becomes angry. She demands that the recording be deleted immediately and threatens to file a case against Shasha if it is not erased. As she turns to leave, she suddenly stops and asks whether Shasha's phone has internet access. Using the phone, Gangju finally manages to find her mother's address. Together, they travel toward the location. Once they reach the station, Gangju tells Shasha that she would like to go the rest of the way alone. Eventually, she arrives at the place where her mother works. She sees her mother inside a store, looking cheerful and busy with her work. For a moment, Gangju smiles softly at the sight. But the woman's reaction is completely different. Instead of happiness, her face shows no warmth at all. She coldly asks Gangju what she is doing there. With quiet pain in her voice, Gangju reminds her that 3 years ago she left them and moved away, and since that day, she has never once come back to meet them. Gangju looks at her mother and softly explains that she simply missed her and wanted to see her again. After hearing this, her mother finally sits down beside her and admits that it feels good to see her after such a long time. Gangju gently asks why her phone number had been switched off. Her mother explains that she had recently bought a new phone, which is why the old number no longer worked. Gangju then tells her that she has been transferred to a school in the same town and is currently staying at the house of her old teacher. However, even after hearing all this, her mother responds with unexpected coldness. She calmly tells Gangju that she cannot help her in any matter and adds that even after remarrying, her life is still not stable. Because of that, she advises Gangju not to come looking for her again. Gangju, clearly hurt, repeats that she only came because she missed her. Hearing that, her mother apologizes awkwardly. At that moment, her new husband arrives, and she quickly walks away to attend to him, leaving Gangju standing there alone. The scene leaves Gangju deeply hurt. Soon afterward, Gangju meets Shasha, who had recorded her singing earlier. Gangju angrily asks why she had secretly listened to their conversation. Frustrated and upset, Gangju storms away without waiting for an answer. Later, she unexpectedly spots her old friend Mina, but Gangju is still full of anger and emotional confusion. She immediately walks into her mother's store, where her emotions overflow. In a moment of rebellion, she deliberately drops items around the shop and, right in front of her mother, kisses her mother's new husband before walking away. For the next few days, Gangju's life continues in a strange, unsettled way. She struggles with her swimming training, trying to improve despite her fears. During one of those sessions, Shasha approaches her again, offering advice and handing her a small note that contains an apology. Not long after that, Gangju receives a phone call from an unknown man. The caller politely explains that they would like to meet her and asks whether she is available. Gangju, however, gets really scared and says nothing, and ends the call. Meanwhile, memories from the past continue surfacing. In one such memory, Shasha and Dong-eun are visiting Gangju's house. Dong-eun has recently been beaten by some boys, and Gangju gently applies medicine to the bruises on his face. Back in the present day, Gangju notices that the music room at school is empty. She quietly enters, picks up a guitar, and begins singing softly. After some time, the group of girls who run the music club arrives. Hearing Gangju's beautiful voice, they stop outside the room and listen in amazement. One of them even begins recording the performance. But the moment Gangju notices them watching, she quickly stops and leaves. The girls chased after her, asking excitedly where she learned to sing so well. One girl comments that there is a deep pain in her voice, as though she has personally experienced something heartbreaking. Gangju refuses to answer their questions and walks away silently. Later, when she returns home, she witnesses a shocking scene. Several women are beating Lee's mother violently. It turns out that the police officer's wife has discovered the affair between her husband and Lee's mother. Gangju quickly tries to call the police for help, but she suddenly notices that the police officer himself is nearby, secretly watching the situation and then running away instead of intervening. That night, Gangju begins packing her belongings because the 1 week she was allowed to stay has already passed. Just then, she hears Lee's mother crying. Gangju goes to her and gently applies medicine to her injuries while listening to her sob quietly. Lee's mother, touched by the kindness, tells Gangju that if she had been planning to leave, she should reconsider. She admits that she does not know what mistakes Gangju may have made in the past, but she says Gangju can stay there as long as she wants. During their conversation, the police officer begins calling repeatedly, trying to reach Lee's mother. She refuses to answer because she does not want to deal with him anymore. However, the man soon appears outside the house and desperately begs her not to leave him, promising that he will divorce his wife. Life slowly begins to change for Gangju. She grows closer to the group of girls at school, and gradually she starts enjoying her new environment. For the first time in a while, she feels a small sense of happiness. One day, the police officer meets Lee and tells him that he plans to marry his mother and take care of them both. Lee clearly dislikes the idea, but feels powerless to stop it. Later, Lee speaks privately with Gangju and shares important news about the case related to her past. He explains that the people involved have been found guilty, and although their parents want to appeal the decision, the evidence against them is too strong. Lee also reveals Dong-eun initially refused to admit the accusations and claimed he had been forced into the situation, but the case has now been closed and everyone wants Gangju to move on. Only then does the horrifying truth become clear that Gangju had been abused by many boys, 43 of them, one after another. The weight of that revelation explains the pain that has been hiding behind her quiet behavior. Later in class, Gangju notices Mina crying. At that very moment, Shasha then shows her the same video of Gangju singing that had been recorded earlier. She explains that the video was sent to a music agency, and now the agency wants to meet Gangju. Instead of feeling happy, Gangju becomes furious. She demands to know whether the video was uploaded online. Shasha quickly denies it and explains that it was only sent privately by email, adding that opportunities like this rarely come to anyone. Gangju walks away angrily, while Shasha tries to explain that many people dream of getting such a chance, but never receive one. Gangju refuses to listen, saying she does not want any of it. Shasha becomes frustrated and asks why Gangju is acting so strangely. Despite everything, Shasha genuinely likes her and eventually persuades her to give singing another chance. Over time, Shasha and Gangju grow much closer. Gangju even begins helping Lee's mother more often. One day while she is bathing, Shasha playfully scrubs her back, chatting casually like close friends do. Later, Shasha visits Gangju again, does her makeup, and teasingly asks whether she has ever kissed someone. Gangju remains silent, but Shasha quickly guesses the answer. Curious, Shasha asks whether it happened once or many times. Gangju quietly replies that those people were not humans at all, but gorillas. The strange response leaves Shasha confused, unable to fully understand what Gangju meant. Despite the heavy past, the two girls continue spending time together and enjoying small moments of happiness. Shasha even records another video of Gangju singing. Soon after, Gangju receives a call from her father saying that he has come to the town and wants to meet her. She immediately goes to a restaurant to see him. However, he is heavily drunk and barely paying attention to her. He pulls out some papers and asks Gangju to sign one of them. Without asking any questions, she signs it. Then her father simply leaves, still intoxicated, showing little concern for his daughter. On another day, Gangju sees Lee's mother again with the police officer. Without saying anything, she quietly leaves the house and goes to the swimming pool to continue her training. While practicing in the water, she suddenly hears a sound that frightens her. At that moment, the story shifts back to the past again. One evening when Gangju returns home, she finds many boys sitting inside the house. Mina explains that she invited them because she wanted them to become friends with Dong-eun so they would stop bullying him. However, the boys begin forcing Mina to drink heavily and start taking inappropriate photos of her. Mina manages to escape into another room. Gangju quickly turns on the lights and angrily tells the boys to leave. She demands that they stop harassing Dong-eun. But one of the boys starts arguing with Gangju and threatens her while beating Dong-eun in front of her. Horrified, Gangju tries to call the police and asks them to come immediately. Before she can finish, one of the boys snatches her phone. He lies to the officer on the call, claiming to be the inspector's son and saying that his friends were only playing a prank, so there is no need for the police to come. Just as the situation begins to escalate, the story abruptly jumps back to the present. One day, Gangju's new friends ask her about her dream and what she wants to do in life. Gangju calmly answers that she wants to learn how to swim. When they ask why, she explains that she only needs to swim 25 meters. Hearing such an unusual dream leaves her friends completely puzzled. After some time, Lee carefully asks Gangju whether her father had come to meet her recently and whether he had made her sign any papers. Gangju nods slowly, confirming that she did sign something. Hearing this, Lee becomes worried and explains that she should never sign documents without understanding what they are. Those papers, he tells her, were petitions. The moment she hears that, Gangju feels a painful sinking sensation in her chest. She immediately tries calling her father, but he refuses to answer. Soon, the terrible truth becomes clear that her father had accepted money from some of the rapist's parents and forced her to sign those petition papers, which were used to help those criminals get released. As if things were not already unbearable, Gangju begins receiving calls from unknown numbers. Then one day, her new friends decide to surprise her. Excitedly, they reveal that they have uploaded her singing video on the internet so she can gain fans and recognition. Instead of feeling happy, Gangju becomes furious. She had never wanted her face or voice to appear online, and the argument quickly escalates into a fight with one of the girls. Angry and overwhelmed, she storms away. Later, while sitting quietly in her classroom, Gangju writes a letter for one of her friends but never gets the chance to give it. Suddenly, a man appears at the classroom door. He spots Gangju and immediately calls several others inside. Within moments, the room fills with people, each holding petition papers and demanding that Gangju sign them. These people are the parents of the boys who had assaulted her. They want her signature so their sons can escape punishment. Terrified, Gangju runs away and locks herself inside another room. But the crowd follows her and gathers outside the door. Fear grips her so tightly that she begins trembling uncontrollably. At that moment, the story reveals the full horror of what happened in the past. On that night, those boys had never actually left Gangju's house. They had secretly mixed something into a drink and forced it on Dong-eun. Using him as an excuse, they tricked Gangju into drinking it as well. The drug quickly affected her body, leaving her unable to resist. Then, one by one, the boys entered the room wearing grotesque gorilla masks and assaulted her. Even worse, they forced Dong-eun to wear a mask and pushed him into the room too. That was the night Gangju was attacked by 43 boys. Not only that, but they also assaulted her friend Mina. Later, Dong-eun's father arrived, but instead of protecting both girls or helping punish the criminals, he simply took his son and left. Mina, overwhelmed by everything that had happened, later jumped from a bridge and ended her life. When the police finally questioned Gangju, she revealed everything. Many of the boys were arrested, and the case became serious enough that Gangju had to transfer schools, which is exactly where the movie had begun. Eventually, those boys were found guilty and were about to be sentenced. But Gangju's own father betrayed her. He accepted money from some of the criminals' parents and secretly made Gangju sign those petition papers, allowing those boys to escape punishment. When the remaining parents discovered this, they used the viral singing video to track down Gangju's new school. They came there hoping to force her into signing petitions for their sons as well. After escaping the mob outside the classroom, Gangju is taken to the principal's office. The police have already arrived and managed to control the situation. The principal speaks gently but awkwardly, admitting that the school administration had no idea about her case before. Now they must discuss the matter with the board members. Until a final decision is made, Gangju is asked to stay at home and not attend school. In other words, she is effectively expelled once again. Later, the police take Gangju back to Lee's mother's house. Gangju asks nervously whether Lee's mother now knows the truth about her past. After some time, Lee's mother is shown speaking with the police officer who has explained the entire situation. Despite everything, she calmly says that Gangju can still stay in her house because none of what happened was Gangju's fault. The officer then explains that the legal battle is not over yet because the criminal's parents are appealing the verdict. He also reveals that many people are spreading rumors that Gangju must have done something wrong, especially since her friend Mina had committed. Hearing that accusation, Gangju quietly explains the truth. Mina had become pregnant because of those boys, and although Gangju knew everything, she pretended not to understand the situation. Because of that silence, Mina had to face everything alone and eventually chose death. After saying this, Gangju leaves the room. Just then, the police officer runs after her holding more petition papers. He explains that someone he knows asked him to collect her signature, claiming that one of the boys was forced into participating. The officer casually mentions the boy's name, Dong-un, and adds that the boy had said he felt sorry for what happened. Gangju listens silently and then refuses to sign. She calmly says that there is no need for those boys to apologize because she is the one who has been running away from everything all this time. After that, Gangju takes her belongings and leaves. She calls her father, hoping to talk to him, but when he answers, she can hear loud music, drunken laughter, and women's voices around him. Before she can explain anything, he cuts the call. Next, she calls her teacher, Lee. From him, she learns of the final betrayal as her father had taken money from the rapist's parents and fled. Now that the truth is out, the other parents are chasing Gangju for signatures as well. The fear becomes so overwhelming that when she encounters a stranger on the street, she freezes completely, unable to speak. Later that night, she calls her teacher again, asking desperately what she should do because she is terrified. Lee tells her that the case has already reached the media and newspapers are reporting everything. Even, he does not know how to help anymore, so he promises to call later and ends the conversation. Gangju spends the night alone and frightened. At a cyber cafe, she reads the news reports and realizes that her identity has now been exposed publicly. She quietly gathers her belongings and begins walking away. Her phone rings repeatedly, and messages appear on the screen from her friends and Shasha, begging her to return, telling her that none of this was her fault. Gangju does not reply to any of them. Meanwhile, some of her friends watch the horrifying video evidence of the crime on a laptop. The sounds of her crying in the recording are unbearable, and they eventually shut the laptop because they cannot continue watching. Elsewhere, Gangju is seen walking slowly across a bridge. After some time, her bag is found lying on the bridge, but Gangju herself is gone. She has jumped into the water. As the scene unfolds, the film shows her body sinking beneath the surface, while at the same time, another image appears of Gangju swimming peacefully. In the background, a voice reminds us of a conversation where her friend once asked why she wanted to learn swimming. Gangju had answered that if her heart ever changed, she would begin a new life. The final image shows her disappearing beneath the water, and with that haunting moment, the movie comes to an end.